Miracles under the sun. Greece is said to have 1,000 islands. In fact, there are at least 3 times as many. Welcome to a journey of discovery through the islands of Greece. Begin our journey from the pearl of the Mediterranean, the volcanic island of Santorini. Then we head north to Naxos, onwards via Delos to Tinos, and then finally to Amorgos. In Santorini, which is covered by a blanket of fog almost every morning, we meet Margherita and her unique wine. In Naxos, we witness the curious magic exuded by its marble quarries. How did these donkeys end up on a roof? And why? These young Greeks could dance before they learned to walk. Take a trip to Delos, once a metropolis, abandoned 2,000 years ago. And in Tinos, we trace the feeling in the sculptor's fingertips. We accompany the Skopelitis, the Mediterranean's most famous ferry. And end today's round trip in Amorgos with Abbot Spiridon. Our first stop is Santorini, the embodiment of the Cyclades beauty, which arose from a catastrophe. Santorini is a volcano which last erupted 3,500 years ago. Today, the crater remains rise out from the sea. Some of them are densely built up. Almost everyone here grows wine, despite the stony terrain. The barren earth is, coincidentally, the reason why the vintners have to work so little. The Santorini vine thrives despite the very unfavorable conditions. Margherita is an enologist, an expert in wine growing and production, and loves her plants, which sometimes do not fare so well, like now, following 2 days of severe winds.
No matter in which condition they live, they will find a way to survive. That's why I love the vine. It's an organism, it's a plant that can really survive.
Wine growing in Santorini is only a real chore twice in the year. In the spring, when the young shoots are cut and tied, and in the autumn, when they are harvested.
Actually, we have three problems. It's the wind, it's the sun, it's the lack of irrigation, lack of water. So the vines have to live in very, very stressed conditions.
The wine growers have struggled with the climate for hundreds of years, and as such, they have developed their own methods. They braid the vines into baskets, causing them to bend downwards towards the ground from the wind. In summer, a roof of leaves protects the plants from drying out. It doesn't rain the whole summer in Santorini, yet nature still lends a helping hand to the vine.
Early morning, if you come, you can see the fog. Sometimes you see the leaves wet and you believe that last night was raining, but that's because only of the humidity that we have. And that's our saving.
The ground may be stony, but it has a particular property. The volcano left behind pumice stone, a porous material which becomes saturated with moisture.
Because of the pores that it has, it can absorb the humidity of the atmosphere. So the roots can pass sometimes, not pass, well, they can touch the pumice, so they can have the water that the pumice has inside. So they have some water. Not too much, but they have some.
In addition, the stony volcanic terrain makes it difficult for vermin. Grape phylloxera, a vine pest which destroyed entire vineyards in Europe more than 100 years ago, have no chance here. That's why old vine species which no longer exist anywhere else in Europe still survive here. The plants are merely sprinkled with sulfur powder twice a year against fungal disease.
After a while, if you are all day like this, your back, it's a bit tiring, I could say. A little bit, you start to have some problem. You start to feel a little bit pain, so you need to go for massage afterwards. So, okay, it's something that we have to do. Okay, we're not working too much, but when we have to work, we have to work.
Margarita checks the progress of her wine at regular intervals. Initially, the Vino Santo grape juice still looks like a rosé. However, it becomes darker and more aromatic over the course of years.
We do nothing for the taste. We just keep the wine in the oak and we just keep it like that. We just check in every month. We open it from the top and we check it, and that's it. Just waiting. For the wine, if you want to have nice wine, you must be very patient. Otherwise, if you be anxious to do something, you might lose it. So it's the same. Just need to be patient. That's the secret. Ποτήρι. Να σταματήσει να διαβάζει, δεν ζαριστεί στο τέλος. Να διαβάσω. Άντε για μας. Για μας. Να πάνε όλα καλά. Του Μιχάλη.
Εγώ το έχω πάει σε μια δουλειά από την Κρήτη και μου λέει φέρε μας, είναι πάρα πολύ καλό.
Πότε δεν είμαστε μια.
Πρέπει να δοκιμάζουμε.
My grandfather made us to drink Vinsando since we were 2 years old. Just to have a small glass, a small sip of Vinsando because he was telling us that it was good for your blood. So we drink Vinsanto since 2. And when we were capable of holding a knife or something like a knife just to play, we were going in the vineyard for harvesting.
Yet, life on the edge of the volcanic crater is a continuous dance with earthquakes time and again. The last big one occurred in 1956 with devastating consequences. Many houses were re-erected in the traditional, more solid dome style. The inhabitants now hope to be better prepared for the next earthquake. The pumice stone, which the volcano spewed out 1,000 years ago, is today a much sought-after building material. In the past, thousands of tons were shipped out yearly. Then, the population protested, fearing that their island was soon to disappear from beneath them. They achieved that now there are strict regulations.
I think that's an interesting thing.
This one piece will make 52 layers.
Watch on mobile devices or the big screen. All for free. No subscription required.
Our journey continues from Santorini to the north, 80 kilometers across the sea, past Ios to the fertile island of Naxos. The god Dionysus is said to have held boisterous celebrations, feasting on everything that the earth yielded. And even today, Naxos still produces a wealth of agricultural products and is the only Cycladic island that is self-sufficient in food and can even export part of its crops. Out of gratitude, island's inhabitants built a temple thousands of years ago to thank Demeter, the goddess of the harvest. The island's abundance attracted conquerors from early on. The Venetians stopped off in Naxos on their crusade to Jerusalem and remained there for more than 300 years. Ruling families once resided in the so-called castro, its gray cobbled structure a contrast to the surrounding whitewashed walls. Naxos houses another treasure, a natural resource that has been much sought after since ancient times, the famous Naxos marble. Yannis Karpondini's big challenge is his father's quarry. He would much rather be at the construction site instead of sitting at his desk daily, working on contracts and calculations.
If you go on the mountain in the morning, then you don't want to go away. You want to stay there and continue, try to work on it. It has something magic.
Yannis is fascinated by the lightly transparent structure of the marble. It has a special surface, which even the ancient stone cutters valued. As a child, Yannis worked in his father's quarry, but then he left it all behind to go and study in Athens.
As a young man, I had other plans. I left the island, I went to study and so on. And when I was actually 28, I had a, let's say, click. I said, okay, what am I doing? I said, what I should be doing is work in the quarry, continue the story. And so I left everything, I quit my job, and I came back to the island.
Work in the quarry requires a lot of experience, since the workers have to assess where to position the drills and where the weak points are in the rock.
The interesting part is that you are small, or a human, it's against a mountain. So you need to find ways to win this mountain. Quarrymen say when you are under the mountain, you are afraid of the mountain. When you go on the mountain is afraid of you. When you see a stone, the quarrymen in Naxos say you have to see where it hurts. And where it hurts, this is where you need to put the power in order to change the balance and make it fall.
However, every stone is an adventure, regardless of experience. Even the experts eagerly look forward to the treasures that the chainsaw will reveal.
Every stone is another surprise. You see, is it a good stone? Do we need to cut it more? Does it have any problem inside, any crack or something else? So all the time you are in a constant action to see what's next, what we're gonna see.
Yannis and his colleagues are working on a historical site. Right alongside, there were marble quarries 3,000 years before the birth of Christ.
This is 5,000 years of the same work in the same place. Maybe with some breaks during the history, but if you put it all together, it's 5,000 years in the same place, the same work, people continue doing it. It's more than tradition, eh? It's DNA, I think. It's in the blood.
The villages in the surrounding area, with their narrow walkways, were built in the mountains in order to offer good protection. They were not whitewashed then, but were earth-colored and well camouflaged. The reason? The Cyclades were continually beset upon by pirates up until the late Middle Ages. That was a long time ago. Yet nowadays, in the night before the 1st of May, something looms again in the streets of Kinidaros, at the foot of the quarry.
Because of the 1st of May strike, alright, some people of Naxos and of this village have been in the US and as immigrants, and then they come back. Here the people don't know about the 1st of May, that they shouldn't be working and they should be striking. The night before, secretly, they steal the donkeys and they put them on the roof. It's like all the cars of today are on the roof and nobody goes to work.
In Kinidaros, it is tradition to bring work on the quarry and anywhere else in the village to a complete standstill on every 1st of May, International Workers' Day. The following morning, nobody goes to work, with or without donkeys. Instead, the village youth gather and wait for the opportunity to dance. This is exactly Sofia Manola's intention. Sometimes she holds her dance lessons in the village square. Her students are aged 5 to 18. All have grown up with music.
It's said of Kinidaros that the children here first learn to dance and then they learn to walk.
Surprisingly, the enthusiasm for dancing is shared by everyone on the island of Naxos, even boys of an age where they would normally be interested in football or in motorbikes.
Τα παιδιά όμως που μεγαλώνουν σε χωριά όπως εδώ στον Κινίδαρο,
Children who grow up in villages like Kinidaros are already exposed to traditional music in their mother's wombs. They hear it as lullabies and when they learn to walk. So it's only natural that they know how to dance to it.
Εννοείται ότι ξέρουν και να χορεύουν.
Everyone thinks of siataki when they think of Greek dancing, much to Sofia's annoyance. She's happy to demonstrate some of the other dances, the balos, for example.
Μπάλος είναι ο χορός που σε απελευθερώνει, νομίζω.
The balos is a liberating dance for men and women alike. When you dance the balos, you let all your emotions flow freely. You reveal your soul, your inner world. You reveal your character to your dance partner.
Με τον καβαλιέρο σου ή την ντάμα σου, όμως βγάζεις το χαρακτήρα σου, εξωτερικεύεσαι.
Even if you hardly touch when you dance the balos, it can sometimes get very steamy.
My greatest joy is to see people engaging 100%, when they feel what they're dancing. I'm thrilled when they feel it. It's my greatest satisfaction.
On from Naxos to Delos. According to Greek mythology, Poseidon raised this island out of the flood. Apollo, the god of light, was supposedly born here. Delos was a holy place in the Greek islands during ancient times for many hundreds of years. After many attacks and power struggles, the island was devastated in 88 BC. Today, only the foundation walls of the city remain. The island is uninhabited. From Naxos, we travel 30 kilometers across the sea to Delos. Not far now to Tinos, also a holy island. The island's celebrity is a pelican. One day, Marcos, a fisherman, freed him from his nets. Now Marcos only feeds the seagulls. The pelican gets his own fish from the fish shop every morning. Tinos is, however, most famous for a Marian apparition from almost 200 years previous, to which the largest sacred building in the Greek Orthodox Church pays tribute. It is a mecca for hundreds of pilgrims daily, who make the long journey from the port to the church on their hands and knees. It took many specialists to erect the large church with its many marble adornments. Tinos was a place of pilgrimage even in ancient times, with temples and oracles. Since then, there's been a tradition of marble carving. It is no wonder that Greece's most famous school of sculpture is also located here. we meet Ariadna in the mountain village of Pyrgos. A trainee stone sculptor in her second year, she comes from Crete and originally came here just on a visit.
I came here, saw what they were doing, and was immediately impressed. I'd never heard of this school before. It's hardly advertised. So I decided to give it a try, and that's how I ended up here.
Training in the island's small, renowned elite academy takes 3 years. The students must learn to scan the originals and transfer the values onto their workpieces, point by point. Only then are they allowed to use the cutter. Machines are taboo at the academy. The students first have to learn to become familiar with the marble.
You get a hefty piece of marble and tools, and you try to work it. You have to make a cube, a pyramid, or a rectangle. The main thing is to learn how to use the tools properly and to sculpt right angles. Each side must be straight, because if one side is uneven, the whole thing is ruined. Marble has different sides, the morello, the face, and the head. You can't just hack away at it. You have to study the pattern of the grain. The most important thing with marble is to determine the run of the grain, so you know how to work with it. It can take a whole year for you to cut a rectangle out of the marble. It's not at all easy. You might even begin your second year of studies and you still haven't figured it out yet.
Many students are ready to throw in the towel at this point. They first have to realize in the first instance that it's not about fine art, but first of all, about a solid, tangible craft.
It gets easier when you pluck up your courage and overcome your fear of carving the stone and just get to it. And you have to be patient and be prepared to start all over again from the beginning. If that's even possible, sometimes it's no longer an option. The marble begins to talk to you when you're ready to listen. When you begin the detail work, it's like this. You have a large block of marble in front of you, and you're carving away at it, and at first you don't notice anything. But as soon as it begins to take the shape that you have given it, a relationship forms between you and your marble. It's a great feeling. What you've created may not be perfect, but you've worked hard and you're one step further.
The entire Pyrgos region is full of the Academy students' marble pieces.
I knew almost nothing when I started. It's not an easy material to work with. It depends on the type of marble, its purity, and what you want to do with it. You realize how much work and ambition there is behind the ancient classical statuary, because you know how very difficult it is.
Around the village, on the whole island, there are terraces artistically secured with natural stone walls, so-called pelagos, the legacy of previous generations where fruit and vegetables were once reaped on a large scale. Thanks to these terraces, the topsoil has not been washed away through erosion, and the island remains quite green. Between these terraces is another peculiar feature of the island, the pigeon lofts. The Venetians kept pigeons in such decorative constructions. They used the pigeon waste as fertilizer on the terraced fields, and the young pigeons landed in the cooking pot. Onwards in a southeasterly direction to Amorgos. Dozens of ferries plow through the Aegean, the lifeline of the Mediterranean, the motorway through the islands. For more than 30 years, the Skopelitis has connected the small Cyclades to the rest of the world. Every day we transport people, food, everything that these little islands need. The Express Skopelitis is a special ferry in the Cyclades. Everyone knows her, her departure and arrival times, her freight capacity and cargo space. And knows Captain Fostieres and his crew. Everyone is glad that they can rely on them.
Καταρχάς, θα πρέπει να εμπνεύσεις στον κόσμο μία εμπιστοσύνη. Ό,τι θα περάσει, να το βάλω στη σημερινή.
It's important the islanders know that the ship will come by regularly and punctually.
5 λεπτά από τον Άι Γιάννη θα είναι στο
Like the train, not hindered by traffic lights, regardless of storms, without delays.
Δεν θα έχει τίποτα. Εγώ λοιπόν μετά από το 90 μέχρι
I've been traveling this route since 1990, and we've had many situations where we have had to help. We're prepared for any eventuality, even childbirth. But since our journeys are very short, we never had the pleasure of a birth on board.
Ακόμα δεν έχει τύχει, δυστυχώς, να πάρουμε και αυτή τη χαρά.
For a long time, the Skopelitis was the people's only connection to the outside world. Other than that, many of the islands were isolated and left to fend for themselves. The islanders have entrusted everything to the crew, their animals, their money, their children. Before cash machines were installed on the islands, they gave the seamen their bank cards and PIN numbers so that they could withdraw money for them on Naxos. Even today, the crew collects the pensions from the banks on the main island for many of the older inhabitants and brings savings to the counter or important documents to the authorities. They even transport blood samples from seriously ill patients to specialists on the neighboring island, safely stored in the ship's bar refrigerator. Once the goats, scrap metal, flat screens, cigarettes, and the last passengers are on board, the loadmaster sorts letters and always knows exactly who gets what letters from whom, and often the reason why. Most young travelers visit Captain Yanis on the bridge.
Πόσοι μπαίνουν μέσα, τι ώρα φτάνουμε, κάθε μέρα. Οτιδήποτε συμβεί μες στο βαπόρι, μα οτιδήποτε συμβεί, πρέπει να γραφτεί. Άρα γιατί αυτό ελέγχεται. Βλέπεις εδώ που είναι με τα κόκκινα, είναι γιατί ήταν ο καιρός φουρτούνα και ή μας απαγορεύουν τον απόπλου ή μας τον επιτρέπουν.
I'd love to be captain on this ship, because life here in the Cyclades is still different, and this ship has written history. The first time I traveled on this ship was when I injured my hand and had to travel to Naxos. Man, it was really rocky and I got sick.
Όταν ταξιδεύεις τόσα χρόνια,
You regularly encounter difficulties when you travel on the sea for so many years.
τα οποία σε δυσκολεύουν.
You have to be very careful in order to overcome them.
Για να τα ξεπεράσεις. Να ξέρεις πότε.
You have to know how to preserve your strength when you don't have enough,
Πότε πρέπει να την προσέξεις.
when you have to be careful, or whether you can cross.
Επειδή την αγαπώ υπερβολικά.
Because I love and respect the ocean, I was able to survive several storms. Plenty of storms. On the route to the edge of the European continental plate, there are treacherous sea currents.
Η θάλασσα είναι μια μεγάλη ερωμένη.
The sea is a wonderful lover, like a beautiful woman, unpredictable. It has great power, which destroys you if you don't respect it. And whoever fears it can never be a seaman.
Τον έφαγε. Και όποιος τη φοβήθηκε δεν έγινε ποτέ ναυτικός.
The sea calms down once again. We set sail for Amorgos, a spectacular island literally at the edge of Europe. Amorgos has been inhabited since the 3rd millennium BC. Its dwellers at the time decided not to live at the beach, but higher up on the plateau. Not just out of fear of the pirates, but also because of the floods. The many sea quakes in the region caused repeated tsunamis on the island's coasts. One of Europe's most famous monasteries, Chiosoviotissa, is fixed to the cliff face like a swallow's nest.
Γεννήθηκα στην Λαγάδα της Αιγιάλης.
I was born in Legada, in Amorgos in 1953. And was actually a naughty child with a restless spirit, perhaps a revolutionary.
Θέλησε επαναστάτης, ίσως. Έλεγα μικρό παιδί του δημοτικού σχολείου θα γίνω.
When I was in primary school, I said I would become either a priest or a gypsy. I mean a blacksmith. Sometimes the same word has different meanings. In my village, the word gypsy means blacksmith.
Είναι λέξεις και έχει άλλη ερμηνεία. Γύφτο στο χωριό μου λέγαν το σιδερά, το σιδηρορό.
The monastery was founded in the 9th century. In its heyday, almost 100 monks lived here and tended to its lush estates. Today, only Abbot Spiridon lives here with 2 confreres. He has lived here for more than 40 years, exactly where he was drawn to when he was a child. As children, we were in and out of here often. We grew up here with the legends, the sayings, the traditions, with the miracle of the Holy Mary, and somehow we loved and looked after this monastery. It's our monastery. Yes, it belongs to the whole world, but still it belongs to us, the people from Amorgos. It's our pride, our jewel. It's something with which the Amorgos people identify. And, with the grace of God, I came here in 1971, 41 years ago. In the Chosoviotisa monastery chapel high above the sea, every day the monks hold 3 masses, at least. The first begins at 4:30 in the morning. Gilded icons hang from the walls. Among them, the picture which the monastery can thank for its founding. A picture of the Virgin Mary, which monks wanted to save from iconoclasm. 1,200 years ago, these monks came here to Amorgos to bring the icon to safety. The iconic figure of the Virgin Mary originally comes from a cloister in Palestine. She had to cross many oceans to get here. The monks were on the run and had taken their icon, their holy treasure, with them. They traveled into the unknown. As they sailed by, they saw that the landscape was very similar to the one that they had left, with its steep, grandiose cliffs. So they remained on Amorgos and found their refuge. The first monks discovered a mason's nail high up in the cliff and believed it was a sign from God. And at this spot, they began to build their monastery. The cliff breaks off time and again, and large chunks fall onto the ruins in which the monks live. Recently, a chunk fell off that was the size of a small car. However, a rock has never fallen on a person in all of the 1,200 years of the cloister's existence. That's a miracle. The abbot's cell is only one of over 60 rooms. When Abbot Spiridon first entered the monastery, over 40 monks lived here. Over the course of time, they became fewer and fewer. Life here consists of masses, prayer meetings, chicken feeding, kitchen work, rare visits. You would like a plate of starters? You'd like a change, variety, a special meal, or whatever else? Bean soup. Every day, every day, every day. Something new? That's not possible, you understand? That's how the days are here. Lovely, they're lovely, regardless of how they take shape. We live them, we enjoy them, we embody them. Everything is a gift. Life is a gift from God. The rambling estates were taken from the monks when the Greek state dispossessed the monastery in 1952. The monks still have goats and chickens and their vegetable gardens. They still have to provide for themselves. People today rely only on themselves, on their egos. As a result, they've botched it all up. Life is a battle, a struggle. It's a stormy sea. The monastery is a port, and one feels safe in a port. We're suffering a crisis in the monastery, and I see it as a sign of the times. Man doesn't know what he wants. Modern man has lost his orientation, although he is still devout. We have to be positive for a better future. God will give us everything. I personally believe this. I am by nature an optimist. This is the end of our journey through the Cyclades. But we're on our way to more Greek islands off the coast of Turkey, the Dodecanese.